All right, the time is 9:05. I'd like to call this session of the Strategic Planning Subcommittee to order. All members of the committee are here, myself and Sonia Striggles in person, and we have Johnny Loretti on Zoom for us today. The first thing we will bring up is just approval of meeting minutes, and I submitted those minutes, kind of a summary of discussions that we had. Again, we'll use that as a working document here again today. So do I have a motion to approve what I submitted to you guys?
So moved.
And then I have a second. Mr. Loretti in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Those minutes approved. All right, so nextly, we do have a public comment section, so I will open up to public comment if anyone is online via Zoom that would like to make comment, because we do not have anyone in person here today. I'm sorry, Deb, I lost you?
There's no one on Zoom either.
Okay, no one's on Zoom. All right, so we will move forward from public comment and move on to further discussion of the legislation referred, which was the order OFY 25-074, the town manager goals, as we were working on at our last meeting. So again, today we're going to get into just a little bit more detail about what we discussed, trying to lock down these goals that we have for the town manager for this upcoming fiscal year. Via his contract, and then hopefully have one more meeting toward the end of this month where we'll have a final copy of this to review that we can submit to the council for approval for the beginning of September. So with that, I'll just actually start with any opening comments from members of the committee if they had anything opening that they want to discuss from the last meeting. Johnny, I'll start with you.
No, nothing, nothing that's not already here that we're going to discuss later. The proposed goals here, they all look good. They're all in alignment with what I was thinking, and I followed along with the rest of your meeting because I wasn't able to stay on for the whole time last time. And all of this looks great. I think we just need to figure out some dates and some deadlines, but I think this is great with where we're at currently.
Sounds good, Johnny. Sonia?
I would agree with Councilor Loretti that ultimately we just need to kind of time bound a lot of these things, but the basis of everything that we have on here is a little bit more tangible, I find, than some of the goals that we came in with. I think they're a little bit more tailored to being as measurable as possible. And now that he's in his second month of work, and he probably won't see these goals until his fourth month of work, I think it's really imperative that we take that into account, that for a full quarter, we really haven't had goals in front of him that he should be measured by. So maybe we're restructuring when we do a review for the simple fact of, I really don't want to hold someone to goals that they didn't know they actually had. So I think going through all of these things, really making sure that the dates make sense, I think is the biggest goal for me today.
Sure. Yep. And I concur those statements, and I want to make the goals attainable, but also in a realistic time frame. And that's one of the big things we'll be discussing here today. I still think, based on what we have structured in his contract, as far as timeframes for review, midway through his term and things of that nature, I think those still can be met. Again, the time frame that we set to establish these goals was to get it by the council by beginning of September. And that's obviously a couple of months into his tenure in this first quarter of his contract. But that's the way it's set up in the contract. So I think we'll be fine by following that timeline. So with that, we'll jump right in. We'll start with looking at the first goal, town manager goal, town council, TCG-001, exemplary town operations. A lot of what was originally presented by Councilor Murphy on this was good. In my updates, we talked about developing and adhering to a balanced budget for FY27. to be done by 4/7/2026. And again, this brings us to a budget presentation. So I think that date and time frame is good. We talked about at the last meeting discussions, conducting multiple meetings with the VR school district and superintendent, preparing for that FY27 budget, and recommendations on budgetary solutions for funding a VR school district by a certain time frame. And again, I think a similar time frame should probably, be allowed, just because they go hand in hand budgetarily. But I don't know. I just want to get feedback on both councils here on that time frame. So I'll ask either one of you, what are your thoughts on that?
I think the
Yeah, I'd like to
sooner-
see, okay, Sonia.
I think sooner, instead of the end of January, I believe is when we had our first joint conversation as a town council with the school committee about the budget. I think as soon into fiscal year 2026 as possible is a good starting point, where it gives him some leverage of being able to have multiple conversations before we're even scheduling that joint meeting to go over the budget. I just don't want what happened this last time to happen again. I'd rather have a little bit more of a firm grasp at the beginning of the year, like the first week or two of the year, on where we're going to be. So if we are revisiting the dreaded O word, we have a little bit more time. It's not a shock when we come to March and we're needing to schedule another special election. Maybe it could be on the April ballot,
Right.
It's
Right.
just.
I hear what you're saying there. Johnny, comment?
Yeah, I agree, and we already have some of those working group sessions that are scheduled. Ryan Powers and Justin are in conversations with each other, and I know that previously the town manager was involved in those meetings, but we're looking to kind of redefine the scope of that. So that's already in the works. So I believe that we have the word multiple. I don't think we need to have a specific number there. I think that multiple suffices, and I anticipate multiple meetings will already happen in the fall. So I think that he'll be able to meet that goal pretty easily. I would suggest a date that is early January. Where's my calendar here? If you want to pick, like, the first Monday in January is the 5th. And the only reason why I would select that date is because I know that Superintendent Powers had his first budget presented to the school committee in the second or third week of January. So if we could have multiple meetings conducted before that process begins, I think that is being proactive.
Okay. I agree. I don't think January could be good. I'm just concerned, again, a closer date in the beginning of January, it runs, obviously tight with New Year's and stuff like that. So when is that meeting that you said that the school committee has? It's later in January?
If we're going off of this current year, 2025, I believe Superintendent Powers presented in like January 15th, plus or minus a couple of days.
Well, that's kind of what I was leaning toward on this particular date, maybe for us, because I think we have a meeting on the 20th.
So what if we did the 12th, the following week, the 12th? That's still before he would be presenting it to the school committee and the school body in general. I really just think it's very important for the town manager, i.e. trickling down to the town council, to have the information well before the public gets it, because we were playing catch up this last time of what the number was. And I think all of us were very shocked by what that final number was. And I think a little bit of a softened blow would have been better, where we could just get a grasp
Okay.
on how
Agreed.
we're responding,
Okay. So yeah, we would have our own council meetings on the 6th and the 20th, it looks like, in January. Is this something that we're looking for him to have a report to us as a council before a meeting, or is this because we're saying so just conducting the meetings and preparing for the FY27 budget and recommendations for budgetary solutions for funding the district? So are we asking him to offer those recommendations to us as a council by a certain date that he's going to be presenting them to us at a meeting? So we obviously have to keep that date in mind, relevant to a meeting. So I can understand that's why you came up with the 5th, because that's right before that first meeting. And then obviously that second meeting, is the 20th, but the day before 19th, I believe, is Martin Luther King Day. So, again, something in the middle is the 12th. So, and then he could report to us by the 20th. Does that sound reasonable, guys?
Yeah, I think we're just adding in that additional, please have the solutions and the meetings done by the 12th.
Yeah,
Please be prepared to report to the full council on the 20th
okay.
about what you've been able to discover and decipher.
Sure. Would you be in agreement
Yeah, I
with that?
agree.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that the spirit of this particular line item is the fact that we've now engaged in a, open and collaborative budget process with the school district between our town manager and the superintendent, and we're doing it early so that we could all be in alignment. And if we do need to look at, potential override in the spring, we are now 3 months ahead of our normal town election.
Yep, nope, I agree. That sounds good, Johnny. All right, so I'll pencil that in at this point at 1:12, and we'll go from there to review at our next meeting. Next on this grouping was conducting a townwide resident satisfaction survey to baseline opinions on key town services, projects, communications. We had a tentative date. I think we discussed of 11/15 at our last meeting. I had spoken with the town manager. He has vacation the end of October. He still is concerned on timeline to get this done. He wants to do this right. He wants to not only survey public, but also town employees as well, and really make this comprehensive. And certainly my discussions on this topic with him, he would feel a little bit more comfortable by doing it by the end of December, just giving him a little bit more time. As Councilor Sonia mentioned earlier, just getting his feet wet in the first month or two and giving him time to put a decent survey together. It takes time to put that. He doesn't have the manpower in his office. He doesn't have an assistant town manager to help him with these additional tasks. So just giving him a little bit more time to put a good survey together and actually put it into use would be helpful to him. So giving him more time to accomplish that would be helpful. So my suggestion would be extending it at least until December. Maybe it's December 15th or December 31st, dealing with the holidays. But I just want to get your feedback on that.
I think if we split the holidays in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think that's okay. But I would caution doing it as the end, because I think we're going to have a stalled amount of participation between the 15th and the end of the year. So I don't think it's going to, I don't think that the outreach is going to be any better if we extend it to the end of the year. But I do see the value in giving him an extra month. He has already taken the initiative to put a survey out about the website without it being something that was a tangible goal that we asked him to do. So I feel maybe that would be a good gauge point of where we're at with participation as well. Because if we got an ample amount of participation in a short period of time before it closes, we at least know that by the 15th of December, we would have a decent amount of survey answers to kind of go off of. I'm okay with it.
Okay. Johnny?
Yeah, I'd like to see the survey conducted and results reported to us by our second council meeting, which is December 16th. I think that would be an appropriate time where we can discuss before the holidays begin and see, where we're at kind of heading into the new year, as we're about, 6 months into the fiscal year. So I like December 16th, the 15th or the 16th, either one.
Okay. Well, I would say let's put 12/15 down, since it's that day before the meeting. So then hopefully we can get a report at that meeting. So we'll edit that to 12/15, and we'll see how that works there. And additionally, we had discussed at the last meeting that we had this particular topic listed under exemplary town operations. Should this be moved to community engagement and in that section? I'm not sure, in communication. So I'm not quite sure what your thoughts were. Should we keep it under this particular topic, or should we move it down to community engagement? Any thoughts?
I think we could leave it here. It could fit either one, but I have no problem with leaving it here.
Yeah, fine.
I'm okay leaving it here now, seeing the length of the community engagement and communication. I'd rather split
Yeah.
the goals up a little bit so that it's a little less.
Okay, sounds good. I agree.
Condensed.
I agree with that as well. All right, so we'll keep it right here under exemplary town operations. And then finally, we had there something that already takes place by delivering a town manager operational report to the town council every 4 weeks. Again, he, sees the format of it just fine and has, problem with keeping that up. He certainly might expand it or come up with a newsletter portion of it as well, which maybe summarize his thoughts and things on that. But that doesn't seem to be a problem, and that will continue, which again, it's been a helpful tool to the council as well as the public. So, okay, that kind of summarizes it. Was there anything else in that category that you guys had any additional thoughts or are we good with what we have listed there so far?
No, I'm good. I'm meeting with Justin next week, and as a side note to this, a suggestion that I have for him is to get more on camera with these operational reports, because I think more FaceTime in a social media world is never a bad thing, because if someone's never gone to a town council meeting, they might not even know who the town manager is or what he looks like and what his personality is. So that's going to be my suggestion as another touch point on how he can get this message across. Because he's just an extremely personable person when you're around him, and he's very enigmatic, and I feel like that translates to the camera. So that's my suggestion to him on how he can best reach more people, because he wants to do a newsletter style format. He wants to have it be as engaging as possible. I take that as the goal there. So that's going to be just my little caveat to that. And I think that that will help him even exceed the goal even further, because
I mean, again, I'll ask Johnny his opinion in a second, but again, everyone has their own style. I know Mr. Dutton did like a Facebook Live situation, so he might grow into something like that. I think we should potentially let the town manager develop his own style, not necessarily dictating what that style should be. But I think, again, with that suggestion, I would agree if he does something like that. I think that would be
we're
fantastic.
utilizing BTV or something to that effect, just so that.
Johnny, comment?
Yeah, I think that we should have in the goals this operational report, which we're all used to, or a newsletter, whatever he'd like to call it, and then encourage some sort of face-to-face media, and encourage him to use BTV that we have as a resource. It may be a big load, a big lift to do it monthly, but maybe a quarterly. But just encourage him to have some FaceTime with folks, put it online so that people can see, what a great and personable guy he kind of is. So I would encourage it, but not require it as a goal.
Good. And I agree with that too, Johnny. Okay, so that's fine, but great point, Simon.
And that was my sentiment. It was more of an encouragement than a
for sure.
requirement.
Sounds good. And again, as I mentioned before, I did not get any other feedback from any other counselors, so I don't have anything else to add from any other counselors in regards to any of these topics. So we'll go to the second one, 002, drinking water improvement. So again, this wasn't exactly written out, so I took a little bit of a description here. Basically stating, develop and publicly present in conjunction with the Water Department DPW an updated multi-phase improvement plan to address water quality, identifying new water sources, and expanding system capacity with estimated timelines and funding sources to accomplish this plan by such and such date. And again, giving him as much time as possible to work on this. There's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, funding is a big one. So I listed this as a potential of, April 1st of 2026. As we just recently heard, our water superintendent is retiring, so there's going to be some flux there. So this probably needs as much time as possible to let him work on developing the existing plan that we have, but also updates on the plan, funding situations and the like. Though I do know he is targeting for beginning of September a water talk of where we're currently standing. So, but as far as developing a plan, a comprehensive plan, or expanding on our existing plan, I want to give him time to work on this. So again, suggesting of a date there of 4/1/2026. So I'll just open it up to you guys for discussion. What are your thoughts?
I'd like to see some sort of indication that we are pushing for action as soon as possible. So if we're going to quantify the fact that we have an initial kind of discovery period and report presented to us by a certain date, I would feel more comfortable having something on here that acknowledges what he's already doing. So I don't know if we want to do like in October for an initial kind of presentation of where we're at currently, and then a later date for a plan. It just seems April just seems so far away, and and if this is the number one priority for most residents is water, and I think that depending upon how large the scope of the plan is, it could take 6 to 8 months to develop something that's worthwhile to put forward. So it just depends on how big the scope is, but seeing that we're not requiring a plan to come forward until April, depending on how big that plan is, it just seems really, really far out. So if there's anything that we could do along the way to kind
Yeah.
of move this along, it would be a little more palatable for me and a lot of other residents. They're seeing that we're making improvements to the website before we have a comprehensive water plan. And I think that the optics of that just aren't that palatable for people.
I understand what you're saying. So again, as I said, I do think he's planning on a water presentation for the beginning of September. So just to incorporate that to the goal, I would add with an initial report or review of our water situation, let's say, by the end of September. So it gives them a couple meetings in September in case or October 1st or whatever. Give him a couple meetings if he had to slide something based on time frame. But again, if we have an initial report in September that kicks it on off with his work going on into April, I think that's something that is definitely doable. Sonia, comment?
I definitely hear and agree with both of you, specifically Councilor Loretti stating that we need a actionable presentation or I don't want to say the appearance that there's a plan that's in the works, but he's already doing work on this. So I would like to kind of time bound the work that he's already doing of September 15th or 10/1 deadline. And then that gives him 6 whole months to create a plan, like a true solid plan. And with new water sewer rates coming aboard, that's going to be 8 months worth of data, 7 to 8 months worth of data of how those rates being changed have impacted our enterprise fund. So that would also be a great thing to see come April 1,
Yeah.
those first couple quarterly payments that are made, if we've made any headway, because the whole goal was to do it for a year and to time bound it for a year and see if it's working.
Right.
So it's a really good touch point to have that 6 month
Six month
timeframe.
review.
Yeah.
Okay. I find that to be fine. So I'll just edit that by stating that accomplish this plan by 4/1/26 with an initial review to be presented to the council by 10/1/2025, giving them that 6 month window to develop that report. Does that sound good to you, Johnny?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that we just need to show people that this is top of mind, that we're making every effort that we can to improve our water system here. So I like that.
Too. So that's why he's targeting the beginning of September for that. So, okay, I will add that to that language there and present that at our next meeting. And 003 roadway improvement plan. So I wrote this up as well, similarly, because again, within the construct of Councilor Murphy's goals, there wasn't really a specific goal written outside of just the initial description. So basically, I wrote up complete and update road condition assessment in conjunction with the DPW, an update priority repair list of town roadways and multi-phase improvement plan with potential funding strategies by, and again, giving them some time frame to do so. On January 15th date, again, relative to our meetings potentially there on January 20th. So hopefully getting some information and input by that meeting. Additionally, I added that once developed an update town website with posting a priority street repair list and roadway improvement plan, pending availability of funding for public information. I had a conversation with him on this, and a couple of concerns that was just again, this is DPW's area, and he has to talk with the zoo a little bit about time frame, but also sometimes just when dealing with a street priority list, those lists can change based on the type of repairs being done and the funding available. So even if a street was listed at the number 2 priority list, another street below that might got brought forward and get done before that. So not wanting to create any public upset or anything. So he wants to dig into the listing aspect again, because that's something that I've heard from the public too. So I wanted to work on having something like that available to the public so they can see what streets are on the docket. But I want to give him the flexibility and discussions with the zoo there to figure out what the best way is to handle that. But again, we do have a roadway improvement plan already, as we've been presented for by DPW. So obviously we're just looking to expand upon that and also find funding sources to do so, which again is, as the town manager digs into our current budget and how we've been doing things, he's going to certainly find ways and potentially see what he can find for monies to do some of these types of projects. But he does need some time to do so. So that's why I wanted to give him some leeway on a time frame to do that. So that's why the suggestion of, and I think we had this discussion a little bit at the last meeting too about a January 15th date. So with that in mind, I'll ask for some comments.
Looking at some of the other time-bound dates that we've now put in place, I'm thinking of future agendas and length of time, and trying to keep people in the seats in council chambers so that they're as engaged as possible. So I'm thinking that 115 to have that potentially be on our 120 meeting, as well as a BR school district presentation, might be a lot of really big, scary numbers all at once that we might lose some folks. So my thought is to have it be a time-bound date of January 28th so that it can be on our February 3rd agenda, just to separate them just a hair, so that we're giving the proper attention and cadence to things that really do need separate attention. And it's only a couple weeks as far as it's in between meetings, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Johnny, thoughts?
Yeah, I initially was hoping to get this done earlier. Is there a need? I understand he needs to coordinate with a zoo, but is there any palatability to have that done in November or December, or there's just not enough time for that?
Well, again, if you want him to kind of work hard on water, the road situation, I think it's putting a lot on the plate. And again, this is, something he has to coordinate with a zoo too. And again, it all does take some time. Right now, again, the time frame, I think is, I don't see the point, because again, without the funding to at least get it done, what can you do in a few shorter months there? So I think the goal here is to come up with a plan and to come up with the financing for the plan, and then come up with, with that timeline after the fact. So giving them some time to develop this again, I like to see things happen fast too, Johnny, but I don't want to overwhelm him so much that these aren't, realistic, attainable goals for him to accomplish. Again, he's one guy. He doesn't have an assistant town manager right now where he gets, sub-assigned some goals here. And I'm in agreement with Sonia. I don't want to overwhelm our meetings with too many presentations and be there till midnight, 1 o'clock. So if we bump this down to one meeting to target that first meeting of February, I have no problem with that. I would actually just.
Yeah, that's fine with me, as long as we have this done. Roads are not going to be addressed till the spring anyway. So, when I think about it practically about implementation, yeah, that's fine with me. And then you're going to get to the next item, right, regarding updating the website.
Yeah, we'll get into the community engagement in just a sec. So I would just suggest, that first meeting, like you said, Councilor Strigels, is Tuesday the 3rd. Why don't we make it that prior Monday, which has been the pattern that we've done, as 2/2/2026. All right, just to keep a consistent pattern.
I was thinking more so agenda wise of making sure that it can, the report.
Oh, putting it into the agenda.
So if it was the week before, there's no issue.
So we'll say let's do 1/26 then, 1/26 of 2026. Okay.
just so no one can say that there
Right.
wasn't enough time to look
Sure,
at
nope,
everything.
I agree with that. Okay, you go with that, Johnny, 126?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, good. All right, so we were good with that one, and again, wasn't really much else. So again, so you wanted to further discuss the website situation, Johnny?
Oh, I was talking about the second bullet under 003, which was once developed, update the town website.
Yeah,
My
what are
only
your thoughts?
comment there is that, what's that?
I said, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, my one comment is I fully agree with this. I would like to see it be on the homepage if possible, because one of the biggest comments that I get as a counselor is I can't find things on the website and I want to know when my road's getting fixed. Obviously, putting the water aside. So if there's an easily accessible way that people could find that, if it could be on the homepage, that would be great. Maybe we don't need to assign, and we'll leave this up to Justin how he and Azu want to do this, but maybe they don't need to be assigned in a numerical order. Maybe they could be assigned in, categories, like these are category 1 priority, category 2, and they could be, in certain categories, however they want to do it. But I think people just want to see, like, so they don't have to go on Facebook and ask, when is my road going to be, repaved? When is the water main going to be replaced? And what priority is it, so that I could have some sort of expectation as to when this is going to be done. So those are just my comments on that.
No, that's fine, and I agree, that's why I kind of put it on there, and again, just with the goal of having that accessibility on the website, because again, whenever website changes or updates are made, the searchability of the site, we know needs to be improved, so I would agree with you, it should be easily accessible and at least searchable. Someone wants to say, priority streets list, and it comes right up type of thing, so I believe that's the goal for the new website. Any more comments on that part of it, Sonny?
I would agree with Johnny on that, for the simple fact that when we had the override discussion, there was a very simple link right on the homepage, so we know that it can easily be done. I would just label it DPW FAQ, about water and roads, and keep it as simple and as streamlined as possible to let people know what they're going to get when they click on it, and just have it be a very simple bullet point list of things, whether you click on it and it opens a PDF, or you click on it and it goes to another shorter website that's very easy for people to follow. I do think putting it directly on the homepage instead of making it searchable would be a good way to tie whatever he's presenting to us to the website, so that people actually know what's happening.
Okay, so again, potentially can add in parentheses, with location on homepage and things of that nature, but yes, but the crux of what we're looking for is kind of listed there, so we will keep that in there. Great. So moving on to 004, community engagement and communication. So this one definitely had a little bit more breadth to it. First one being improvements to the town website, existing or new design for easier public access to information, documentation, scheduling, and communication to town officials and departments. And again, he's working on that as far as a date to have it accomplished by. Again, I don't want to put a hard and fast date, but I would certainly suggest, something by the end of the fiscal year. I don't know what your thoughts are on a hard and fast date. Again, it depends on, they do have I believe Blythe signed a contract with a company to do an updated website before she left. So Justin is working with that particular company now, but I do not know what the time frame is to do the work or to get it online and things of that nature. So I would just suggest a date that is open and flexible as possible to get it done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see a particular rush, although it's something that needs to be done. We have other priorities. So yeah, I think that having a flexible date here is totally fine.
Are you good with like a 6/1/2026, Johnny? That's
Or just the end of the
Yeah,
fiscal.
yeah, before the fiscal year. Yeah.
because it allows for a presentation if there's any financial component or like unveiling of what the website could look like at a June meeting, so that maybe it launches at the start of a fiscal year,
Okay.
so that people get a little bit of a glimpse and we can see the changes. That just gives a good benchmark. That gives us 30 days in the event things
Before
have
the
to
end
be.
of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right, I'll be okay with 6/1. You okay with 6/1, Johnny?
Works for me.
Okay.
Just trying to limit anything that gets too close to when we switch to one meeting.
Yeah, no, you're right. I
Yeah.
totally agree. All right, that sounds good. Next, expanding public engagement by hosting at least, and I put a range of 2 to 4 public forums, listening sessions, again, by the end of the fiscal year, 6/30/2026, with updated, and this is some language I put in there, updated quarterly reports to the town council during town manager report with the results of those forums. I had a discussion with Justin on this, and again, whether he wants to have a public discussion on it or not, he said he could certainly do updates in his operational reports that we get every 4 weeks. If he does have any public forums or listening sessions, that he can put information gathered from those sessions in the operational reports. And again, just to put a number in there, he certainly be fine with the number 3. So something right down the middle, but he plans on doing more than just that. But an attainable number, if we want to put a minimum in there, he said 3 would be fine, but he would certainly strive to do more. So your thoughts on that, guys?
My thought is he already has 2 scheduled. So selfishly, 3 feels like that's 1 between September and June. So I think 4, at least 4 is a better number, because that allows him to potentially do one a couple months after the 2 that he has scheduled, and then another one in fiscal year 2026, and easily meet the 4. So because he already has the 2, it's hard for me to just agree to 3 and not hope that he does more.
Well, push that envelope.
I do.
Well, I
I mean, he's already scheduled 2, so it's when I saw 2 to 4, I'm like, well, he's already met the goal.
Halfway there.
And I want them to be attainable, and I want them to be achievable goals, but I also want a little bit of a stretch when people don't feel that town government is working for them and they want to feel heard. So I'm of the school of thought, give people more opportunities to have conversations with you, and if they care, they show up. If they don't, they can sometimes prove our points. So 4 seems good, because then there's 2 next fiscal year.
Okay.
Fiscal year
The second
26.
half of the fiscal
Yeah.
year, like you said. Johnny, what's your thoughts?
Don't show your hand early with Sonia in a negotiation.
That's what I do for a living, John.
What can you remind me, what are the dates of the first 2 which are scheduled? I don't have
The
them off
20th and the 25th.
offhand. Say that again?
Of August. The 20th and the 25th of August. So they're like 5 days apart.
Oh, really? They're that close?
Yeah.
And what forum was he doing this in?
So one is at the senior center and one is here, I believe.
Okay.
One is at night and one is during the day.
Again, and he's looking to do more of them. We just, again, I put the 2 to 4, so we said we'd pick something in the middle, but I don't think he'd overly object to 4 when he's already doing 2 in the first month here. So
That being said, I would say 4. I was going to lean to 3 because we wouldn't be getting these goals to him by the end of Q1. But if we're already accomplishing 2 in Q1 of FY26, then I think that 4 is more than fair. So yeah, I'm down for 4.
all right.
Just think of all the things that could be topics of conversation for him to do listening sessions on February and March. There's going to be the school budget. There's going to be a water report. There's going to be a road report. There's going to be so many things that people can come and give their opinions on. So I just think there's going to be a lot of information and a lot of topics that he could even run a specific topic on water and roads and all of those different things. So I feel like I think that's what residents would appreciate. More opportunities.
All right, so we'll put down 4 there.
And I'll tell myself that it was me.
Any further discussion on that one, guys? Okay. The next one, and this is, I think, came from suggestions from Councilor Reddy, launching at least 1 new or improved community engagement tool, whether it be a website feature, newsletter, community dashboard, etc., by a certain date here. In talking to Justin about this one, again, being a little bit hamstrung without having an assistant town manager to help him with some of these types of situations, it might be tough for him to create. Again, he's working on the website. I don't know if if it's a specific goal or something that we should, I mean, list it as such. But again, I'll ask for some feedback. And certainly, Johnny, since this was your suggestion, what your thoughts were on this particular line and goal, and what would you like to see come from that?
Yeah, so I realize that I made this a little vague, which I don't like. But to kind of narrow it down a little bit, I would like to see some sort of engagement feature as is stating, and obviously if we're updating the website, this kind of conflicts with that a little bit. But I would actually kind of open this up to Justin to see what he could do. I like the idea of being able to reply to some of the concerns that residents bring up during citizen comments. They may not be able to attend the following meeting. They may not know where to find the answers to the questions that they ask. So I don't know if there's an opportunity to have a town manager corner where questions from residents from meetings are answered, something that's like clickable on the website. Maybe that could be part of the operational report, answers to questions from citizens that came to meetings. So I think that something to that degree would suffice here, but I'd be open to his input to see what he could kind of put together.
Okay, no, that's fine. I can take that to him as well and see what his thoughts are on it and craft the goal around what he thinks he can accomplish there. And then again, time frame. It seems like it's an ongoing thing, so I don't know if there's a particular time frame to be put on there. It's just whatever way we can, in line with getting a website done, if that's going to be in line with the website or along the lines of the operational updates and things of that nature. So we'll have to find the right vehicle to kind of get that information out there based on that suggestion. So any comments on that?
I think the way that we can tie it to the improvements to the website is to state that in conjunction with improvements to the town website, whether the design is existing or a new design, that the town manager launch at least one new or improved community engagement tool within the website. It's making it a component of the newly designed website. So you're basically putting one goal in with another goal and just adding in the language. So we're basically specifically stating that we want a section of the new or existing website, however we decide to go as far as budgetary concerns, what have you, that we want a town manager corner or something on that newly established website
For engagement. Yeah.
Whether it's a way of someone being able to auto-populate, like in the fix-it section.
You can say the click it and fix it type of thing.
If it's a mixture of that and Justin answering public comment questions in an FAQ, similar to what we did with the override, where if we got a question and it wasn't a redundant question, it was added to the FAQ section so that anytime someone else had that same question, they could find the answer.
Yeah.
I do think that tying both goals makes it a little bit easier to time bound it.
Right. So tying in that first goal of the town website with that
Yes.
one and making it 6/126.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. All right, so let's, what are your thoughts on Johnny? Does that sound good to you too?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll work on that, tying those two together. And lastly, this is one actually I kind of put in because again, there was a public sentiment for this when we went through the hiring processes. Engaging with the public by attending at least one community event per quarter, Autumn Fest, Christmas on the Common, etc. And then, reporting the results during town manager report or again, an operational update type of thing. But again, there was a public, sentiment. They want to see the face of the town manager out there in the public. And he is local, living not too far away. He plans on doing this anyway. I would say, yes, I'm trying to give you some goals here to try and achieve and something that we can check off a box down the line. So he didn't have too much problem with it. And I think it would be a good thing for him to try and strive to be here for certain events. Again, Fire for Effect events down in Spring Street, you name it, all the different types of events that we tend to have here in town. I'm sure it is. He could pop in, show his face, talk to a couple people, let us know that he was there type of thing. So I think that's certainly a reasonable goal to try and improve his engagement with the community. But
I think that
Yeah.
makes 100% sense. I don't think it's a stretch only because we've already seen that he's participated in the 4th of July. So we've already seen that he's done the outreach at our first event 3 days on the job.
Yeah,
So it's one of those things, it's like, I don't see that being something that he wouldn't do organically, but why not give him one line item on a goal that we already know
Easily
that he's going to exceed? I mean, I see him attending far more than just 1 quarter.
right,
But that at least gives him a benchmark. If things are really busy at the Academy building 1 quarter,
yeah,
he just has to hit one. I
so,
think that's fine.
Johnny, thoughts too? Same thing?
Yeah, that works. He already got 1 out of 1 quarters down, so 3 to go, so that works.
All right, sounds good. All right, moving on to 005, Economic Development Strategy, and again, this one's kind of a broad one, because it has a lot of moving parts and pieces, so I kind of wrote it up as a summary such as this. So in conjunction with Vision to Reality and working with the CED Department and Director, identifying our current economic strengths and weaknesses, develop and implement short-term and long-term funding strategies, and again, that was the key based on our last discussion, and a timeline to improve the town's economic development, which includes improvements of the downtown business district, supporting existing local businesses, and working to expand Bridgewater's commercial tax base, with this plan to be presented by the town council by such and such a date. And again, in reviewing this with Justin, you know, definitely it's on the radar, and he has to work with obviously Bob Ruley on this very closely. But he doesn't see that being an issue. And again, as far as a date goes, again, just, you know, something within the fiscal year situation, because it's a large encompassing project. And do we want one big plan presented? Do we want updates along the way? That's why I leave up to discussion. But again, just to show that he is working with the CED department on this and coming up with, you know, ways that we can, you know, fund these types of changes, because none of this is going to happen without funding. And with his background, as far as, you know, getting, you know, grants and outside monies to help make these changes, he was just telling me the other day he was already walking the center of town, and as mentioned at the last meeting, the flashing lights for the crosswalk going all the time. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. So he made some calls and trying to make some changes going forward on that, and then he can apply for some grant money to make those changes that we got for Main Street. So so he's, you know, he's engaged in looking at that stuff right from the get-go. But as far as a goal and a time frame, I'll leave it open to discussion for you guys to let me know what your thoughts are. But I would certainly just emphasize that we got to give him some time to work on this. So
I think my biggest thing when it comes to grants is typically grants and state grants tend to be, because that's what we can probably look forward to, are state grants and not federal ones at this time. But ultimately, we're kind of looking at February to June is kind of the time frame that a lot of those grants are due, applications are due. So I would maybe split it in the middle, because a lot of I had it written down, a lot of the economic development grants are in June as of this year. So if that's the case, an April deadline feels good to me, because that lets us get a presentation, figure out what grants are still on the table that we might qualify for, and be able to put together a nice application at that point and have 60 days-ish to put it together, while still getting a full presentation to see what these opportunities for grants can actually do for the town. Get buy-in, basically. Those are my thoughts on it. Having it be a 4/1 or a 4/15 deadline on that. That's
Okay.
8 months.
thank you. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I like sometime in the first half of April, sometime between the 1st and the 15th. If we want it to coincide with the water, which is 4/1, great. If we want to add a week or two in between, I think that's fine too. But I like within the first 2 weeks of April. That works.
Okay.
Or at least maybe 4/1 and then present at the second council meeting in April, so that we're again splitting agenda items, so that we're a little bit more laser focused on items as they come across our desks.
Gotcha.
And that's
Okay.
also during our budget process too, so it'd be good to know where we are at currently in regard to economic development. So that's kind of right in the middle after, he presents his budget on by the 7th, and then we'll have a week or two that goes by. We can have this presentation. So I like that timeline.
Do you like 4:15, Johnny? Does that sound
I like
right?
4:15. Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll go with 4:15. Excellent. And I get great information on the information about the grants in June. That was helpful.
They always tend to be in the second and third quarters, sometimes in the fourth, but those are usually employment
Yeah.
opportunity grants,
Good.
usually at the end.
Great. So then lastly, the 006, which was new, we didn't really discuss at the last meeting because this was Johnny's suggestion, having discussions with Justin on this one. On operational efficiency, okay, there we go. Conducting independent operational review of Bridgewater's organizational structure to identify areas of inefficiency and duplication, opportunities for shared services, regional partnerships, or outsourcing of non-core functions, identifying grant opportunities to support this review and submit at least one funding application. You had put by 10/15 that once grant funding is secured, procuring a consultant and conducting an assessment during FY26 to report results to the town council by such date. Since you wrote this up, Johnny, I'll give you the floor to talk about it some more. I did have some feedback just recently with Justin on this, so I'll share that in a moment. But give me your thoughts on what you wrote up here.
Definitely. I'll be quick because I do have a 10 o'clock appointment. So this is something that kind of brewed from our asking the school district to do something similar. I think that it would make sense for us to do this in the town side. And when I initially floated this by Justin, he was actually excited about it because he was already looking to do something like this. So I like that we are kind of already in alignment there. Unfortunately, he said that the opportunity to secure a grant for this may not be there, but he has other avenues that he's looking at. But there was one particular grant that he was feeling good about, but he said that opportunity is not there. So if there is a grant opportunity, we could leave that on there, but we'd have to consult with him on that. And then, yeah, so once we figure out if there's a grant opportunity, we could address that. And then for the dates, I would like to see this done as early on in the budget process as possible so that we can take the results of these efficiencies and or inefficiencies and use that to kind of craft our approach to FY27 budget.
Right. I'll just interject some information before I get some comments from you, Sonia. But so in discussing with that, again, similar situation, he told me that the grant funding as a community compact grant is state funding grant that's just not available to do this. So he was contacting and looking at the Collins Center, which again, that's what the school was looking at too for that. But again, without this, with the grant, he doesn't know if we'll have money in our budget to do something, even if it's with the Collins Center. So to craft this a little bit, I had the discussion with him as far as changing the language, as far as conducting an independent operational review. I would say conduct an operational review of Bridgewater's organizational structure by the town manager himself, giving him the opportunity to bring in an outside source if he can afford to do so or secure the grant funding to do so. But, just as his job, looking at, how we are organized and where he can find ways to make things more efficient as a town manager, I think we should afford him the opportunity to do that as well. And that's certainly something that he could certainly do and report to us, like I said, by that second half of the fiscal year as we're preparing for that FY27 budget. So I think he's amenable to that type of a goal, but just leaving it open-ended that if he can secure funding to bring in the Collins Center or some sort of other independent review type group, he would do so if the funding was there. But at least as a minimum, he would do it himself as a town manager and report to us his findings, what do you think he could do to make things more efficient in whatever departments or situations that he saw in town. So I would suggest we could still keep this as a goal as far as operational efficiency, but just put it more in his lap and then have him report to us without, specifically putting the onus of finding grants or things of that nature, but having him report to us, like I said, maybe in that April timeframe as well, as we're preparing for the budget season, and then what we can do to affect that FY 27 budget based on those reviews. To go back to Johnny real quick, and then I'll go to Sonia. What are your thoughts on that, Johnny?
Yeah, I like the idea of keeping it open because we don't have grant funding, and we also don't want to speak for the greater part of the council. And where I'm going with that is that I would be amenable to using, one-time funds to pay for a one-time expense of doing a operational review, depending upon what that cost is. If it's on the lower cost side, I think that this is an appropriate time to use some sort of stabilization fund, to fund this kind of endeavor. And in regard to timeline, yeah, I'd like to see it sometime between, February and March, maybe by April 1 to come along with the budget so that it's all kind of presented together. Because I'm assuming that the results of that operational review will kind of be reflected in the budget numbers. So I'll leave it at that. I'll watch the rest of your guys' conversation and then we'll continue to work on this. But this was super productive and I think we're moving on in the right direction.
Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. Go to work. Do what you gotta do.
Thanks, guys.
All right, talk to you. Sonia?
So I just went on mass.gov, I knew that was the grant that he likely would be looking at, because when we were having all of these efficiency conversations, I kind of looked at what grants could potentially be available. Looks like it hasn't been available since fiscal year 2024 by what I found based on the deadlines
Yeah.
for it. So that may be due to restructuring of the state budget and what they've allocated and what they haven't allocated. But typically that grant is available and needs an application by the beginning of February.
Mm.
So I don't know if we want to just keep it April 1 with the hopes that maybe there's an additional grant that might be similar that's available, but just under a different name.
Yeah.
But that would make sense based on him saying that grant is no longer
Right. available.
accessible.
Yeah.
Given that it wasn't in the fiscal year 2025
Right.
budget allocation. So
Yeah.
I think keeping it at 4-1 it's fine with me. I would have been fine with 3-1 as
Okay.
well, because that allows for anything that typically would be an application in January or February to already have been applied for.
Yeah.
And we either probably find out between application and April 1, whether we're getting it or not,
Mm.
before we have a budgetary conversation. So
Okay.
I'm okay with whatever time-bound stuff. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. So again, I think, yeah, I mean, 4-1 sounds reasonable there. As Johnny was mentioning, February, March, it's all in that cycle of getting ready for the budget. But I'll suggest the 4-1 with Justin to make sure he feels like that's an attainable date. And again, as Johnny was mentioning, he wouldn't mind doing one-time funds to spend on something like this. I know it's not Justin's preference to use one-time funds to pay for something like this. So again, I'd rather give him the flexibility of letting him do the initial operational efficiency review, and then if he can't find the funds to do an outside sourcing of this, he would definitely bring them in and have them, do their review as well. But I think again, to just ask him as a goal to take a look at our operations and give us his opinion on what can be done to make things more efficient. And then again, we said that reporting to the town council by 3/31. So again, I would definitely just keep that all tied in either 3/31 or 4/1. He would be fine with that particular goal in mind. So, but keeping it open-ended, again, like anything costs money, but he has, he'll, if he can find it, he'll do it and get it done. But I think keeping it open-ended for him to do what he feels is the best without forcing him to spend money is probably the way to go. So I will rewrite that up a little bit, just putting the onus on the town manager and for him to report to us by, like I said, I think the original conversation we had just now was 3/31/26. So we'll tie that all together. So it's all congruent with that budget season, so to speak, and review those dates, make sure he's happy with those dates being attainable, and then we should have a pretty good set of goals for him to work on this fiscal year. Anything additional that you wanted to add to anything?
I would also just note, he's new to the town.
Right.
So everything that he's doing right now is looking at it as, I hate the word outsider, as an outsider looking in on how we can do better.
It's a fresh set of eyes.
Because his eyes are fresh, he has fresh perspective, but also fresh ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think giving him the onus of kind of taking charge of that efficiency is part of his job.
Of course it is.
So I would rather give it to him first, given the budgetary constraints that we have, knowing that even if we utilize the Collins Center, there's a financial component to it. And that's not leaning towards one-time stabilization. You also know I'm not a fan of even touching that in any capacity, because I feel like once you open the door,
Yeah.
the door kind of starts creaking open.
Yeah.
When it might not even need to be creaking open. So I am totally all on board with giving him until 3/31 to kind of dig his heels in. That's, let's see, 3/4, give or take,
Right.
to really see what works and what doesn't. And
He's gonna need that information to
Yeah.
formulate his FY 27 budget,
correct.
so I think it aligns well. So I agree wholeheartedly with what you said there, so. All right, so that covers basically those goals, so we will take that information that we did here today and we'll wrap that up into a final document that we can look at as a group and approve at one more meeting at the end of the month. And looking at the calendar, I would target August 28th would be the last Thursday before we meet as a council in September. Would that be okay
You
for
might
you?
have to join via Zoom.
You might have to do Zoom.
Mhm.
Would the 21st work any better?
That would probably be better.
21st,
Yeah.
because I mean, that gives us, I mean, there's not really much more legwork to do in this.
That's 2 weeks, and then ultimately that allows for plenty of time for Debbie to get it typed up and
Yeah.
get it on that
Yeah.
September 2nd agenda.
All right, so we'll plan for a follow-up meeting August 21st at 9 a.m. And more than likely, Johnny will be zooming in as well, but hopefully he'll push his
I won't,
clients to
yeah,
pay.
I won't have to Zoom
Okay, good.
for that one.
Yes, all right, sounds like a plan. All right, so with that date set, we're all set for talking about the legislation for today. We have a second public comment session available, so I'll ask Deb, do we have anyone online that wants to give a public comment?
Just the three of us.
All right, we like that, so we're moving on to adjournment of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are in adjournment. Thank you very much, everybody.